Episode 90, GPS, The Wild Goose Chase.
Let's talk about GPS and navigation apps. Have you ever relied on GPS to get you to a destination, only to find yourself completely lost? I mean, come on, this technology is supposed to be foolproof. But apparently, it doesn't account for fools like me. I remember one time, I was driving through a rural area and my GPS told me to take a left turn. I trusted it completely, but little did I know that the road it was leading me down was completely washed out. So there I was, in the middle of nowhere, stuck in a ditch with my car sinking slowly into the mud. Thanks, GPS. And what about those times when the GPS gives you a completely wrong direction? You end up in some sketchy neighborhood, feeling like you're about to be mugged. Suddenly you're relying on your car to lock itself, and you're just hoping for the best. But let's be real, the real problem with GPS is the voice. That monotone, robotic voice that gives you directions. I don't know about you, but I need a little more personality in my life. How about a GPS with Samuel L. Jackson's voice? Turn left, mother F. I'd never miss a turn again. Or what about having your mom's voice as your GPS? In 200 feet, turn left, sweetie. And don't forget to call me when you get there. You'd feel like you were getting directions from your biggest cheerleader. In conclusion, GPS and navigation apps can be both helpful and hilarious. Just remember, if all else fails, there's always the good old-fashioned method of asking for directions. Unless, of course, you're too stubborn like me and would rather sink into the mud. Thank you, and good night. You know what I think is funny? GPS and navigation apps. They're supposed to make our lives easier, but sometimes they just make things more confusing. Have you ever had one of those moments where you're driving along and your GPS suddenly tells you to turn left, even though there's no road there? And then it starts frantically recalculating your route, like it's having a panic attack. Meanwhile, you're just sitting there, trying to figure out how to get back on track without ending up in a ditch. I've had some pretty memorable experiences with GPS myself. One time, I was trying to find my way to a friend's house, and my GPS kept telling me to turn right. But every time I did, I ended up going in circles. It was like a bad dream where you're stuck in a maze and can't find your way out. I eventually gave up and called my friend for directions, only to find out that I was only a few blocks away from her house the entire time. But you know what's even funnier than the mistakes GPS makes? The way we talk to it. It's like we're trying to reason with a machine. No, GPS, I don't want to turn left here. That's a one-way street. Are you even paying attention? And then when we finally arrive at our destination, we give it a little pat on the dashboard, like it's a loyal dog that just led us home. Of course, there are some people who don't need GPS at all. They have a built-in compass or something. I envy those people. I'm the kind of person who gets lost in a parking lot. But even if you're not directionally challenged like me, you have to admit, GPS can be pretty entertaining. It's like having a sarcastic backseat driver who's always one step ahead of you. In conclusion, GPS and navigation apps are a mixed bag. They can be frustrating, confusing, and downright silly at times. But they're also a source of endless entertainment. And if you ever need a good laugh, just ask your GPS for directions. Who knows where you'll end up? You know what's really funny? GPS and navigation apps. They're supposed to make our lives easier, but sometimes they can be more trouble than they're worth. For example, have you ever had a GPS take you on a wild goose chase? You're following the directions, and suddenly you're driving through a cornfield, thinking to yourself, this can't be right. And then, of course, you end up being late for your appointment because you took the scenic route. And what about those navigation apps that have a mind of their own? You tell it to take you to the nearest gas station, and it decides to take you to a random office building instead. You're left scratching your head, wondering if you accidentally selected secret mission instead of gas station on the app. But I have to admit, I'm guilty of relying too much on GPS myself. One time, I was driving to a friend's house and my GPS said, in 500 feet, turn right onto Main Street. So I obediently made the turn, only to realize a few minutes later that I was driving down a one-way street in the wrong direction. My GPS had led me astray once again. And let's not forget about those hilarious voice directions. I'm convinced that GPS voices are programmed to have a sense of humor. I mean, have you ever heard the recalculating voice? It's like the GPS is saying, "Ha! You missed your turn, and now I have to recalculate your entire route. Good luck with that." In conclusion, GPS and navigation apps may have their quirks and mishaps, but at the end of the day, they're still pretty darn useful. Just make sure you don't blindly follow their directions, or you might end up driving off a cliff, figuratively speaking, of course. Thank you and good night.
And that wraps up another laughter-filled episode of Not So Funny A. If you enjoyed the jokes generated by our AI algorithms, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our comedy-loving community.